now.
Welcome.
TapRooT TV.
Yeah, welcome back to TapRooT TV. I'm Benna Dorch, and I'm here with Mark Paradise. And we're so excited today because we're starting to talk about the summit.
Oh, we are.
And
I'm dreaming
he
about the
was
summit.
dreaming about the summit, and his brain's about to explode.
Yes.
So we are going to talk a lot about the impact that the summit that TapRooT has, and how the summit impacts people. And you did have a dream.
I did, and it wasn't a nightmare.
Tell us about that dream.
It wasn't a nightmare. It was a great dream. But the part of the dream that struck me so much was I had some thought in there about how many people's lives have been saved by using TapRooT. And I thought, I woke up and I thought, wow, that's an interesting thought. How do I figure that out? So I said, well, let's figure out first how many people have been trained in using TapRooT. And so I went, we know recently it's around 10,000 a year.
Right.
So I went back and did some multiplication and said, well, in the early years it wasn't that many, so let's cut that down. And I still came up with a pretty huge number. 250,000 people have been trained in using TapRooT, probably. And it's not like we have a detailed record of all those. We have over 100,000 that we know have been trained in our database.
Right.
But we got lots of others that, they were before the database. They've been trained at other people's facilities by their instructors, that kind of thing. But I started thinking about, okay, if all those people are implementing corrective actions for some period of time after they take a course, how many people's lives got saved? Well, I said, well, what if 10% of the people there implemented a corrective action that would have saved somebody's lives? That's 25,000 lives saved. And I thought, well, is that an overestimate or an underestimate? And I thought, well, it's probably an underestimate because that's 10%, but that's only one time they did it. And they probably were using TapRooT 3, 4, 5, 10, even 15 years.
Oh, definitely.
And so they probably had a lot more than that, so it's probably a lot bigger number. It could be 50,000. It could be 100,000. It's like a small city of people their lives have been saved by using TapRooT. I thought, wow,
that's mind-blowing.
That's really impressive. That was really just So I'm sitting there in the morning, all these thoughts going through my head, and I thought, the other interesting part about TapRooT is it's not just saving people's lives. Right. It's also preventing injury stuff. Okay, that's great. It's also improving quality. So then I started thinking, well, how many times has, let's just say, pharmaceutical companies avoided an FDA letter because they were using TapRooT? And I thought, well, I don't have a clue. I don't really know. And I bet our users don't know. I bet people who are at pharmaceutical companies don't know that answer. And that got me thinking about, well, how about something really simple that people should know, like how much money have they saved by using TapRooT? So I said, okay, let's go start making some estimates again. There's 250,000 people trained. Let's do a return on investment kind of calculation. And we usually say that you can get like 100 or 1,000 times your return on investment on your training and your corrective action investment. And well, gosh, what is that then? That's 100 to 1,000 times. Well, let's just say the average investment on a student and some corrective actions was $2,000.
Okay.
And you take that times the $250,000, you're about
250,000 people.
250,000 people. I'm trying to convert to dollars here. It'd be take it 2 times, it makes it 500,000. Add 3 zeros, you're at 500 million.
Yeah.
And then you say the return on investment is 100 to 1,000. So you add 3 more zeros to that. That's 500 billion, 50 to 500 billion. And I thought, well, is that out of whack? Is that something?
Right, it's kind of hard to conceive of.
Yeah, you start thinking about it. Then I thought, well, the Deepwater Horizon cost BP, Deepwater Horizon accident cost BP somewhere on the order of direct costs and other stuff they can directly calculate about $25 billion. Well, heck, if we prevented one of those, then no, that's not a wild estimate. That's a good estimate. And I thought, well, think of all the little things we do. Pump problems that were costing $30,000 a year and got solved. And that's $30,000 a year every year. Boom, 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 boom. And how many of those there are across the board? That starts adding up really quick. So I thought, we might even be underestimating, because that's only one person doing one really good thing, and they do it for a number of years.
Yes.
What if we said, well, it's 5 times that? Well, you're like at $1 trillion then, and a trillion to 100 billion, and I'm like, whoa.
It is
Those nuts. It's the mind-blowing numbers that you just say, holy cow. And then I thought, does anybody know these numbers?
Right.
Anybody at Air Facility, do they know these numbers? Do they know how many lives they're saving? Do they know how many injuries they're preventing? Do they know how many quality problems they're solving? Do they know how many dollars they're saving? And my bet is the answer for 99% of the people is no, they don't have a clue. So when they go to their management and they say, hey, I want to go to the summit because I'm trying to improve the return on investment on our use of TapRooT here. I'm trying to get another factor of 10. Mm-hmm. They don't know whether it's a factor of 10 of what. Is that a factor of 10 of $10,000, so we're going to save $100,000 more? Is it a factor of 10 on $1 million, so I'm going to save $10 million by going to the summit? They don't have a clue. And so
if your mind's blown, you can imagine. You live and breathe this.
They can't make an argument as to why getting better is something they should be spending money on, because they aren't keeping track of what they're getting for their money now. And that's something I think everybody needs to be doing before they go to the summit, is to start figuring out, where are we? What are we doing to save lives? How much are we saving now? And how much better could we get, and what would that do for us? Because then you can make a great argument for why going to the summit and learning how to better save lives, learning how to better improve quality, learning how to better stop problems and save money, why that's a good idea. And so I just thought that was just like, holy cow.
That's why we call it a business critical for a company.
We know that.
Yeah.
But how do you convince your manager of that? How do you convince them that, well, okay, so nobody's going to say going to Houston, Texas is a boondoggle. At least I don't think so.
We're going to Montgomery.
Well, Montgomery, Texas, they will surely think that's a boondoggle. That's just like Vegas,
but it's
right?
a resort.
It is a
nice.
resort. You're right. It is nice. But it isn't like, sometimes you go and you say, well, the boss is just going to think you're just wanting to do this because it's a boondoggle. And you have to convince them that, no, this isn't a boondoggle. I want to go for good reasons. I want to go to save people's lives. I want to go to improve this quality problems we're having. I want to go to help the company be more profitable. And doing that is just a really big deal. And you've got to have numbers to do that. You can't go to a business-oriented person and say, it's wonderful. You should go there. It's nice.
So you're giving them homework.
It is homework to do. It is really homework to do. And so the fourth thing this is now, after you think of the big numbers and you think of the technical stuff you're going to learn at the summit to become a better investigator, a better quality problem solver, better whatever.
Right.
I then thought, well, what is the other really, really big reason to come to the summit? And the other really, really big reason to come to the summit is because you need to be motivated to improve. You gotta get a boost to your gumption, if you will. You gotta go back fired up, because it's hard keeping after this year after year, month after month. And so you've got to get fired up. And I started thinking about, what do we got in the summit to get people fired up? And of course,
oh my gosh, you've got. He has worked so hard on getting an amazing lineup of keynotes again this year. I mean, they're just, well, first of all, just the summit aspects of it.
The regular summit's motivating, but
the keynotes are always you outdo yourself every year coming up with these.
Well, I think we've done a great job this year.
I think you have too. And like we're saying, it's really coming up. The summit's going to be